What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
it's another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
I was speaking to a friend of mine recently about someone we know. The conversation turned from when their friendship had started to recently, why it seemed to have ended, and the undeniable weight off of their shoulders. Toxic relationships do so much more than just bum you out. They bring you down on an emotional and mental level. This idea that we should stay friends with someone simply because we've known them for X amount of time boggles my mind. Maybe I'm cold, but sometimes you just need to cut out that negativity and move on with your life. And frankly, I don't necessarily think you owe anyone an explanation for it either. If you aren't understanding me on a basic friendship level, why would you be able to understand anything as complex as that? Everyone for tuning in to another episode of Tipsy. My name is Nicole Mancha, and I'm here today with producer Mike.
How's it going?
So today is going to be an interesting topic, I think, because I don't know if men necessarily have the same issue as women do when it comes to friendships. We've talked about this a little bit, and I kind of wanted to bring it to the audience and see what everybody else thinks about it. So, I grew up in Chicago, and I went to the largest high school there, Lane Tech. So, in my graduating class, there was 1,200 people. And in the school, when I entered, there was 5,000. You guys were smaller than that.
Yeah.
And then your graduating class was...
Like 400.
Yeah, so like a couple hundred people. Mm-hmm. So... I think it's safe to say that you still are the people I feel like you were friends with in high school, you're still friends with now. Majority of them. Sure. Especially because you see each other just even in passing sometimes because a lot of people stayed in this area.
Yeah, but I also think, like, I didn't go to a traditional college, and a lot of my friends didn't go to necessarily a traditional college or a way to college. They stayed really close to home, so I think it's more of a byproduct of that than anything else.
Yeah.
I think that whole adage of, like, who your friends are later on in life, like, you only keep a few of them. Like, I think that depends. Like, obviously, if you go to college, it's going to, dilute some of the high school friends because obviously you start then distance from them and then you start getting closer to other friends. But in my case, yeah, it was just more hanging out with, and staying close to home and still working around here and just kind of hanging out with the same peeps in the neighborhood and stuff.
So, because we were talking and I had mentioned, this was a little while ago now, a friend of mine wanted to catch up, and it was kind of weird because you're like, I've never heard of this friend before, and I realized that I will go years without talking to somebody and not even realize it until they're like, oh, hey, what's going on? I haven't talked to you in forever. And I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, but I've known this person since I was like 7 years old. I was talking to Katie about this the other day. I mean, her sister and I like do happy birthdays and stuff like that. I literally grew up with them. Mm-hmm. The last time I actually sat down and I think hung out with Tara was a year and a half ago. And like, that's very normal and that's very regular for me. But I was talking to another friend, and there's someone that we know who kind of, I don't want to say turn the tables, but I think in their mind kind of drew away from the friendship a little bit, and it started becoming a really toxic friendship where they were taking a lot, sucking a lot, not really giving a ton back. And it became this really like nasty festering kind of thing. And then when it blew up, it just blew up. And, you know, I told her, I was like, just, you know, cut them out. And she's like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to. It's not what I want to do. And I don't know if it's like, I'm just cold, but I feel like you don't owe them an explanation. When someone becomes toxic in your life and you're feeling like it's becoming not only just like a really big bummer in general, but it's becoming a mental and emotional drag on you as a person, it's time for them to go.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think I notice fairly quickly, and I'll just cut because I don't need it and I don't want it. But I don't know if it's necessarily the same for women and men, because I wonder sometimes if women, because we're so much more open emotionally with one another, if we're opening those kinds of wounds to happen. Like, I don't know how often you sit down with your guy friends and talk about really important things that go, like, you're a private person in general, so you're maybe not the best person to, you know, use as an example. But I mean, like, guys don't necessarily sit down and talk about their feelings.
I mean, I do with my friends. It's just it's not, you know, it's not out there for everybody to know. It's like anytime I do any type of, you know, community or charity work, I don't publicize it and tweet it out. You know, if I'm hanging out with the boys and, you know, in between a commercial during a game or during a you know, Xbox session or something, that we still happen to talk about the future and life and death and, you know, children and careers and stuff like that. I mean, it's not posted over in the universe that we had a great conversation. Like, right. I think we get caught up in everybody needed to know not just our business, but knowing that other people are in our business or that we're handling our business or anything like that. Like, you know, if I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation with somebody who's close to me and it's a heart-to-heart conversation about important stuff, you know, it's not out there for the world to know that it's happening, and that's not what it's for, you know, yeah. At least to me. Like, so I think sometimes that gets lost. Like, yeah, guys aren't openly emotionally open because that's what television and movies tell us that's what the case is. But
no, I think it's really heavy in society too. Yeah, is that you shouldn't be. Not that you can't. It's that it's negatively connotated.
Yeah, but where I'm getting at is it's a caricature of the gender. It's like there's, you know, yeah, we still talk about things. It's just the difference is it hasn't been portrayed over decades that guys are overly emotional, which is not true because, you know, emotionally guys are shown to be much more angry, and like to say like guys aren't emotional, it's weird. Like we've been all sides, like every aspect, even you know, wherever your orientation is sexually, it's all been characterized where, you know, you think of it one way, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I have heart-to-heart conversations with my brothers, with you know, my grandfather, you know, with hard men like my grandfather, heart-to-heart conversations with him. And you talk about a guy who's walked through the mountains of Mexico to get here, or, you know, crossing the border in the 70s and 60s, like hard men. But, you know, like my dad is more than open to giving you wisdom, and I think it comes with age too and confidence. Yeah, it's like I'm not afraid to tell somebody what I think. It's like, I always consider, like, I'm observant. I don't judge. I don't you know, I don't sit there thinking about like what I would do or anything. It's just an observation. This is what I see, and if I'm wrong, hey, I'm cool. I'd rather be wrong about something and learn than be right and just assume I'm always correct.
Yeah, no, and I think that makes sense. I think, I guess when it comes to like relationships, especially between friendships, because I feel like relationships in general are their own different kind of beast. Yeah. Like between, you know, men and women, men and men, women and women, whatever it is, whatever you associate with in relationship wise. But I feel like that's always a really different story because you don't necessarily start out as friends. Like sometimes you do, But I think, but
there's
there's a different depth of that
Sure.
relationship. And friendships, it's hard because no matter how close you get, you're still not going to quite make that into that relationship territory because there's something that you share with that person that you don't share with other people.
Sure.
In theory.
Yeah.
So I guess do you think that there's this, I see it a lot where people are like, well, I've just been friends with them for so long. And I'm like, but does it matter? Like, I've been friends with people for 15 years. And when it just became something that I didn't want to be a part of anymore because of a plethora of reasons, sometimes it was just decisions that they were making that was starting to negatively affect other people. That's when I was like, I know I've known you for 15 years, but I can't be on board with this because I don't want to see you hurting yourself and I don't want to see you hurting other people.
Well, here's the thing. You only get one go around that in this whole thing. And I think people get comfortable with not only what you know, but you don't want to go through life alone and miserable and without friends. So I think a lot of times you deal with people. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think that word toxic and, negative energy and all that, I think while as true as it can be, it's also very lazy and easy to use if you want to as a crutch just to stop hanging out with somebody or to kind of just drift away or just for other motives for their own cause. So, yeah, while there are real times and friendships that you need to get away with to become a better person,
yeah, I
think for the most part of the friendship and the reason you pick other humans is in spite of their flaws. It's because of their flaws. It's those things honestly, most people's flaws are what we find charming. Like, if you find somebody funny, somebody might find them annoying. And, that's that weird, that weird line, that razor thin line of love and hate because, as long as somebody isn't physically or emotionally hurting you, they may be a little loud. Or they may be a little bit of a downer, or they may be an optimist, or they may be, a little bit more of a contrarian. Then, whatever. But if you have fun with them,
yeah, then
I think then that toxic thing can become a very lazy narrative. But, I think also too, it's what you've done with people in life. Like how many humans have seen the things that you've gone through that have stuck with you, it's funny. I was thinking about this a few days ago. I was thinking about some of our friends, and I won't use their names, just because I don't think there's anything wrong with what I'm going to say, but just in case, I think a friend of ours, a friend that I've had for a long time, would choose only one to maybe two other people over me in a completely you have to choose somebody in the scenario. And you think that would upset you, but in my eyes, that doesn't upset. Of course they would. In that scenario, I understand why they would. In spite of all the flaws that their friend may have, it's a mutual friend. All of us are friends in this scenario, but that idea of flaws are okay. They're part of it. They're part of that whole game of it. It's kind of what helps us grow. It's part of the growing process is helping somebody get better from it.
Well, and I don't think that, I think flaws are normal, natural. I find flaws to be something as simple as what people find great, which is I think some of my friends are too nice, and I think that can be a flaw because I notice that people will take advantage of it. You know what I mean? And then they'll rely on them to do things which is not their responsibility to do, but because they can't say no to it. And I'm and it drives me crazy as a person because I don't want to see you being a doormat. That upsets me because I know what a good human being you are. That being said, it could be on the other side of it, and they could be like me who says no all the freaking time just because I can.
Sure.
And I don't think that's my greatest quality either. There are very few people who I jump for. So, but I think when it came to the toxicity thing, it was more so about that idea of they're becoming an emotional vacuum. They're only sucking and not giving anything back. And
sure, no, I get it. I know. I totally know where you're getting from. But But
you think there's a level of what you can call toxic?
No, I mean, I think it's one of those things where if it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a duck. You know what toxic is. But what I'm saying is more if somebody's loud,
right?
That's not toxic. That may be a little bit annoying, or that might get on your nerves, but that's not toxic. You know, like you wouldn't. That's not a reason not to be friends with somebody.
Right.
That may be a reason not to invite somebody to a tennis match or a golf outing, but that's not a reason to like not be friends with somebody. That's kind of where I'm getting at with you know. It's very easy to have reasons why you not to like somebody.
Now, do you think that you owe anyone an explanation if you cut them out of your life? Like if they come up to you like, hey, like what the hell, like you just disappeared.
I mean, if they ask you.
Yeah.
You know, like if they ask you, and they're why not? You know, if I think there's a way of going into like if you sound like a creep or you're a stalker, then yeah, I don't think you should ask. But you know, if I have a buddy that you know all of a sudden you know we've been hanging out since we were 12 years old, and then you know out of nowhere we stop chilling, then you know I'll be like, hey man, everything cool? If you don't get a response back, he's like, yeah man, everything cool. You know, I don't think we're gonna be chilling like that no more. Or whatever. Be like, all right, cool. What is what? You know, whatever. Like I think it's okay to ask, and whatever the answer is, that's just the answer. And you don't have to like the answer.
Right. But I think sometimes people get confused with that because, like, we know people who have kind of gone through that, like, looking for that closure. And I'm like, but closure's not going to change anything. In my opinion. This is solely my opinion. And it's like, because if they give you the answer of, it's just because I didn't want to talk to you anymore, you're not going to feel better.
No, I get that.
If you're looking, you know what it is looking for closure should be looking for the door to close and then open a different one. It shouldn't be looking for the door to close and then hoping that it magically opens again. And I think that's what happens a lot of time is people like they're looking for the answer and the answer that makes them feel better. And closure is not always an answer that makes you feel better. It just puts the period at the end of the chapter of the story.
Sure, but you don't know what that is until you get it. So it's like I'd rather have the knowledge knowing what the outcome was. Like even if it's one of those where, well, I kind of want it to work out at the end anyway, at least I know it did end.
Yeah.
Yeah, like or at the very least I know what the answer was. Like I think that's the thing. Like no matter what as humans you want closure because there's so many things that we don't get closure in. Sure. It's like here's the I think it's an underlining fear that everybody has, and it's what scares us the most about death. It's like there's no closure. And the fact of the matter is all of us will leave this planet. All of us will leave this planet with so many things not having closure.
Yeah.
With countless things that never got the final closure. That's part of it. That's part of the beautiful tragedy that is life. So while you're around and you can manage to get it and you can find a way to, if it's going to make you feel better or you think it's going to make you feel better and you're not harming anybody, then go for it. But, you know, some people need that hurt. Some people need to know that, you know, need to go through that. And, you know, some people aren't built for it either. I think that's the other thing, too. It's just some people aren't built for, it's the sad truth. Some people aren't built for the emotional roller coaster that isn't just relationships. That's just humans.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard. Like it's hard to deal with people. We're a complex thing of monkeys. Like that's all we are. And it's like, well, it's hard to gauge people. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of like we had talked to a friend and I was like, don't go into this expecting you're going to hear the answer you need to hear, you want to hear, whatever. You're going to hear what they're going to tell you, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's what the closure is. It doesn't get to be what you want it to be. No. It's what they are answering you. So if that's not something that you're okay with, then I would really stop and think if you really want to ask the question. Because it may be that it's you and it's not them.
But and then that's something people find out in their own time and whenever they want to, if they're ever found themselves in that situation. But you know, for me, it's like there's no need to worry about, you know, stuff like that. Once you get to a certain point where like you feel like you've had closure, like I would feel you should be able to move forward, but people don't, and that's why, you know, I don't sit here and say it's the easiest thing. It's just what I perceive to be what you should do.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, I've definitely been on the other side of it, and I've just been honest, and it's probably not the answer that they necessarily want to hear. You know, where I've had it where like, why don't we talk anymore? I'm like, because I don't feel the need to continue this friendship anymore. Like, for whatever the reason may be. You know, maybe it's because the last time I heard from you was 3 years ago. I had friends who, the minute that they would get a girlfriend, would not speak to any of their female friends anymore. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, well, you know, how's it going? And I was like, I don't want to be friends with somebody who doesn't have you've known me longer than you've known your girlfriend. And since you just started dating this person, I don't understand why you would put them above friends that you've had for 10 years.
No, I get it, but then in the same token...
But that's why I was like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because the next girlfriend you have, I don't want to...
No, sure, but like in the devil's advocate, it's like if 30 years from now, and I'm not saying that's anything's case, so let's just play devil's advocate, is they end up with this person, have 4 kids, 20 grandkids, and whatever, then like, cool, like that's... It's a bigger game than that. It's like, I'll never. I mean, I have friends right now who currently literally disappear when they get into relationships. I'm like, that's cool. I don't need. Come by whenever you want. It's like there's no expiration date or timetable or word count or text count or emoji count that solidifies or quantifies our friendship or our relationship. Like, if that shouldn't matter. It's the same. It's like, to me, if you're my friend, you're family. And family, if I don't talk to you for a year, a day, 12 hours, whatever, it's like it doesn't change the next time I see you. I think that's a person trait. I don't think that's a gender trait. I think that's a person trait. I think there are some people who are so able and willing to cut people off their life. I've never been one of these people who's just like, I'm going to cut somebody off. I may not like somebody or in the sense like talk to somebody, but like I will never cut a friend off. And like, you have to do something so atrocious. Like, I'm talking humanly atrocious for me to cut you off as a friend.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people it's easy. It's like, you didn't text me back.
Yeah, and I think, and that's where, from my line is drawn, is like, obviously, like, you didn't text me back is different. I think for me personally, it's when we're not benefiting each other as humans, because I think friendships, relationships, anything, you need to benefit one another. There needs to be something that makes you want to be around that person. Whether they make you a better person, they help make you social. There's something that you get. That's why you have relationships, is because you get something from someone else, even if it's just emotional support.
Which should be, I mean, that's what it should only be. Like, I shouldn't be hanging out with someone.
But it's never like that.
Okay,
that's
I
not
get
human.
that. Sure, but it's instinctively human. It's to hang out with somebody that benefits you. I mean, that's the whole point of it. But you're hanging out with somebody because they have a fast car that can get you to school on time. I mean, that's the difference. It's like I only hang out with people that like I connect with.
Yeah.
So I like to me. There's that thing like. Once you're connected to somebody, that's pretty much like it. Especially in a friendship. Not even so much in a relationship, but in a friendship specifically. Like, I think once you hit that like, for me, and that's just my thing. Like, I'm a very loyal person. Like, to me, there is no, unless you betrayed me. And in 2018, this isn't fucking Game of Thrones and Sons of Anarchy. You're not going to betray me. Friends forever. I
mean, yeah, I guess.
And you know what? That comes from being in sports. Unless it got to honest truth. Like, I know you played sports and everything. Like, but growing up as a boy through sports with brothers that are close to your age, like everything, all those things. Like, no, that's your team. Those are your brothers. Those are your sisters. Those are your family. You stick with them no matter what. No matter what. And I mean, some people aren't like that.
But I wouldn't consider it like a loyal or not loyal kind of thing at all, because to me, I look at it as my friend, there are certain standards that I hold you to as you hold me to certain standards. And once it starts to falter on those things, then maybe I'm still loyal to you, but are you still loyal to me?
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
You see, but I don't think that's something that comes up with real friends.
And I think maybe it's the term friends should be really looked at too, because I think that I've had people who are friends that I've been friends with, and I just don't, when I don't see them for a certain amount of time, or neither one of us.
You're notorious for that. I mean, fourth rule being broken. Like we're talking to these people about emotionally, but like your friends have told you, you're very much a distant. You have no problem, even with your closest friends, just disappearing. You have no problem with it. Like, whether it was hiding in your relationships, whether it's hiding in your schoolwork, whether it was hiding in just your normal work, like, you are a notorious person for being able to just kind of go in away and be in your own shit. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what some people do. But my counter to it is then, if people had if a lot of people had that same mentality, people would disown you as a friend very often.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the thing. It's like, that's when I think, like, the criteria of being a friend has nothing to do. There is no amount of time or text messages or phone calls or sleepovers or dinners. Right. Or there is nothing that friendship is friendship. It doesn't matter. Once it's there, if it's a real friendship, it's there forever. So you can ghost somebody, and it doesn't matter. Like, if you're friends, you're friends. And, like, maybe that, again, I'm not saying this is the truth across the table. I'm just saying this is my reality, my truth.
No, and I think that makes sense, and I think that there are, maybe I use the wrong term at times too, because I'm like, oh, well, my friend, and I'm like, no, they're probably more like acquaintances. Now, see, that's the thing too, is like, an acquaintance and a coworker and friends, that's all different. Right. It's like, when I see somebody's a friend, I generally think of them as a friend. Even my coworkers, I think of them as my friends. Because I wouldn't do anything to betray them or hurt them or anything like that. But, like, that, there is a line. Like, I've had coworkers that I was nice to, I was friendly with, but, like, that's where it ends. Like, I would never text them. I would never call them. I would never Facebook friend them. It's like stuff like that. Like, there's a certain line that you, a veil that you kept in front of them. But, like, to me, it's like, once you're in that inner circle, and I hate that term, inner circle, but once you're in my inner circle, that's it. Like, whatever you want to know, you just got to ask. Like, I'm a private person. Yeah. Unless you need to know, or you need some genuine just to talk to. I'm never going to give you advice. I'm just going to talk to you. And that's something I've noticed, is that, like, whereas I will be the first person to give advice if my friends ask me, you are definitely, you give your opinion as a general outsourcing of, like, this is my opinion in the generalist of senses.
Well, I was notorious. I'll put some of my dirty laundry. I was notorious for giving motivational speeches and trying to get people to, like, be better because I was so insecure with myself. I wasn't doing good, so I was trying to get people to do better for themselves and, you know, try to live vicariously through them and whatnot. But, you know, it's not the guy who speaks the loudest or speaks the most that knows the most. Right. I rather see what's going on and observe and listen and gauge and really just read what's going on, opposed to being the center of attention. It's like, naturally people are gonna, this isn't, you know, blowing on the back. Yeah, I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own horn or anything. It's like, naturally I can control the room anyway. So it's like, I don't worry about, like, making friends in a room. I don't worry about entertaining people. That's nothing. But to me, like, I rather know, well, how is this person's day? How does this person act when they're having fun with their friends? Like,
what can I do to make this person's energy better? Like I'm into being aware. I'm into being aware of what's going on around me.
Yeah, and I think, you're right in the sense of like my friends will say that I will just disappear and kind of like.
I mean every group of friends has the one.
Yeah, and
every group of friends has the one.
100% me.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's funny because even my best friend, who we've been friends since we were 5, so we've been friends for 24 years now, and Justina, who I've been friends with for 20 years. They're like, oh yeah, Nicole just disappears. Like, we'll text her and just make sure that everything's good. And I'm like, I will text you. I will respond to you. I will not like drop off the face of the earth so you think something's wrong with me. But like, I'm not going to hang out. Like, just so we're clear. I mean, my friend Katz has been bothering me and Carly whenever she's home. Like, let's all get together. And Carly's like, Nicole does not go out. Like, we know that the next time you'll see her is in like 2 years. It's just, it's how I am. And I'm like, it's not even anything I'm proud of. It's just that I get so caught up in like days go by so quickly that I don't realize they've gone by until I'm already like, oh fuck, like what day is it? I have no idea.
Sure.
So, and I think there's a good point because I do have those friends who are my friends who have taken up a piece of me in general. Like Carly lives in California now and she's not home very often, and sometimes like the last time I texted her yesterday, but the time before that was my birthday, so over a month ago, but nothing changes. Every time we see each other it's the same friendship because you kindled this like fire together that you just have. And right. So maybe it is the wrong word to use, of acquaintances and friendships are two different things, but I think it's like you wouldn't go up to someone and be like, oh, this is my acquaintance, John. Like, if you're introducing them, you'd probably say, this is my friend, because you're like, oh, I don't want to be like...
But like, I wouldn't be in a scenario, like, and that's what I'm getting at. It's like, I'm not in those situations where, like, this is my acquaintance. It's like, no, if I'm with somebody, like, that's my friend. Like, I don't associate with people who are my friends. Like, yeah. That's the thing, like...
I don't think I do. I think as women, we run in a lot of packs.
But, like, I have a huge pack. What I'm saying, it's like, I surround myself with successful people with good energy.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have bad people around me. I don't do that. I've learned... I don't believe in these people who go through online and give motivational speeches and, like, tell you how you should live your life and so on and so forth. I think they're all assholes. But... one thing I appreciate is, like, you notice that successful people don't hang out with negative people.
Yeah.
You hang out with people who are on the same grind, who are trying to do one better. When you post something or you say something, they hear something, or you text them, the first thing to say is congratulations, let's party, let's celebrate this.
Yes.
Vice versa. It's like, you will never see on in my text message groups, you will never see a friend of mine, whenever we're texting back and forth about an accomplishment, trying to one-up. It's always, congratulations, this is about you, this is amazing, and it inspires the next person for the next time they're successful. That's what all I'm about.
And it's funny because, like, that's one of those things where I appreciate, especially from, like, your group of friends that I've become close to, is that they're all extremely supportive and they do really revel in each other's victories and not... anything else. And I think that's when I was talking to my friend about this person that we know, where I was like, they revel in your downfalls, and that's a problem. I'm like, they are happier when you're in a worse place, and that's not a
Some people are just like that, though.
But, right, and I'm like, but that's not the type of person you want around you, because you're already dealing with enough yourself. You don't want someone to be there to revel in it, to get you riled up, to get you upset over something that it's just not going to change right now. So, like, let's move forward from this, because why are we sitting in this awful place? And B, it's also that idea of that type of negativity is doing nothing to feed you as a person.
Right.
It's not bringing you further in your life. And I think that's the importance, because you're right. We have one go around, and I don't want to waste it on people who are not going to be excited for me and happy for me when I'm so excited for them and happy for them. And even though, like, I have my downfalls and I do disappear and I may not always be the best friend when it comes to stuff like that, when my friends do well, I will share it, talk about it, congratulate, because I want them to see that promotion and know that you're there for them. It's the reason why, you know, when I joined the program I'm in now, it's like we all build each other up. We all add each other. We all, like, when we're all having a hard day, one girl was having a really shitty day with one of her writing, and we're all like, we have all had those moments where we wrote something and we're like, what's that? Sure. This is a terrible sentence, but, like, it'll be better tomorrow.
Yeah. I truly believe nobody's a waste of time.
Exactly.
Like, I honestly believe that if they're making a true effort as a person, and then if you're making an effort as a friend, or you're making an effort as a good human, nobody's a waste of time. Like, I'm not too important or too big or too, self-righteous, or I'm nobody's a waste of my time. Nobody. And, like, it could be aggravating. I could be tired. Like you said, like, I'm human, but at the end of it, like, nobody's a waste of my time.
I think it's interesting, too, because, like, there are times when I don't want to answer my phone, and I'll see my phone ring, and I just don't want to talk to anybody. But the first thing I do is text, like, is everything okay for my friends? Like, especially Katie, because she's notorious to call me opposed to text me first. And sometimes...
No, I'll answer. I think that's a definition of somebody's character.
See, it's different because most of my friends text.
Sure.
Like, I'm more of a texter than I will. Like, I'll call my friends, but if I'm calling you, we're going to have, like, an hour-long conversation.
But if you call me, I'll answer.
Yeah.
No, like...
No, you will.
If you call me, I'll answer, because that's a metaphor of life. When you call me, I'll answer. I swear to God, I think that is a character trait. And you could treat it down to the little things. It's paying attention to the small things, paying attention to the small details in a person you care about. Whether it's, when you're walking down the grocery aisle and hey, they like this, let me get this for them. Or, you remember, you don't forget something that they know they're going to need. And like the stuff like that, like somebody calls, you answer, because you never know the phone call. You never, there is no... I know you're going to come up with something, and I totally respect it, because I know some people just don't do phone calls. But to me, there is no excuse. If a friend or family member calls, you answer, no matter how annoying they are. No matter if it's your great aunt who doesn't shut up. If somebody calls, you answer. Unless it's a debt collector or Comcast.
It's always Comcast.
Yeah.
No, and see, that's the thing, like, with my friends, is that they know that I'll call and it's an hour and a half long conversation every single time. There's no getting around it. It's just not going to happen. So there are very few people where I can answer and be like, hey, I can't talk now. Text me. That will be like, okay, and won't say, okay, but just one thing. And, like, there are times where I just don't, and maybe it sounds bad for me, but I emotionally just can't do it. I cannot do it. And so it's always the text right afterwards. Hey, I can't talk to you right now, but is everything okay? Is this an emergency? Do I need to get in the headspace to have a conversation with you? And maybe it's more like my really close friends that I have that conversation with that know me very well. Like Katie and Justine are probably the two people who I can be like, I can't talk right now, because mentally I cannot talk right now. It's definitely a character thing. It's a character thing, because you always answer. Like, I don't.
Again, if you can hear my problems, I can hear your problems. So I can never not have time for it. Or I can never not have the mentality for it. Like, I think it's just a character thing. Some people are just willing to jump in the fire no matter what it is when somebody calls on them for it. Some people aren't. And, like, there's nothing wrong with it. But, like, if a friend calls and they're having a problem, it doesn't matter if I've been up since 3:30 and I'm going through my own shit. All right, we'll handle your shit. That's the point of it, is to pick each other up. So, I mean, I don't think it's not a place for anybody to judge. That's just the way it is. For me, like, it's just, that's not in the cards for me.
I guess that makes sense. I guess for me, it's like a lot of times it's just, oh, I just wanted to chat because I'm driving and it's 30 minutes. And it's like not a problem. It's I just wanted to chat with you and see what was going on.
Well, it's funny because, like, you are much more somebody who, like, you're a Mr. Bean when it comes to stuff like that. Like, you will totally be willing to talk half an hour about absolutely nothing because you're in traffic. But if somebody just, went through a bad time at Starbucks and you have you had orange slices instead of orange, pineapple or whatever, like, you're not going to want to talk to them. And it's like that, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're handling you're taking care of yourself first. But for me, it's the opposite. It's like, well, I'm going to be pissed off regardless because I didn't get my orange pineapple, whatever the hell that is. That sounds delicious. But
I don't know what it is.
But like, if somebody calls me because like somebody called them, an asshole and a deadbeat dad, well, that's where.
But that's very different.
But I'm just saying in general, like anything, like there's no limit because who am I to tell somebody what's important and what's not important, what means a lot to them?
And you're allowed to feel the way that you're going to feel. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's also this idea of self-care. And if you're not in the place to talk to somebody because you know that you're not going to be able to be
totally, but it goes
absorbent of what they have to say, and also
but it goes back
emotionally
to toxic.
Supportive.
It goes back to toxic, though. You're right, absolutely. But that's too easy of a crutch on laziness. Like that is too much of a go-to. It's like, well, I'm not emotionally there to. Well, yeah, like let's say more often than not, that's the truth. There's also a percentage where no, it's just laziness and you just don't want to talk. I'm not saying you specifically, but that scenario of like, no, it's just laziness. You don't want to do. You don't want to be there for them. You don't want to listen to somebody else's problem. You don't want to hear about the 14th time about their boyfriend or their girlfriend. It's understandable where, it's all annoying. Sometimes it could be annoying and tedious. What I'm saying, though, it's like, don't. That's such a human trait of and faults of us of we know what the crutches are and we know when we can use them, even when we don't need to use them. Like, of course, like I have a sweet tooth is another one. It's like I have a sweet tooth. Yeah, that's not an excuse to eat 4 pieces of pie. Like, see what I'm saying? It's like it's very easy to say that.
I agree with that. I do. I think that there's, things like I said, and maybe it's that idea of I have friends who are like very close to me who I can be honest with.
Sure.
And I think that's also the difference is where, Justine and I, we have someone who we both know she's friends with, I'm not. And if there's an issue, I will not talk about this person. I have put it out there like, I will not talk about this person. I will not talk about anything that has to do with this person because it infuriates me every single time I talk about it. And it just, I get so heated. And it's not even someone who affects me, but just this person's character traits, personality. They're not a good person, just overall. Not a good person. And I'm like, I cannot talk to you about this because it infuriates me to the point where I can't handle it anymore. And so she's like, any problems she has, I am there 100%. That specific thing, I'm like, you have like other friends who are more than willing to talk about this.
Sure.
And maybe those are the better people to conversate about this because I personally just can't keep my shit together for whatever reason. I just don't think this person's a very good person in general. So, but again, it's that level of honesty of being able to talk to your friends and being able to say, I just can't handle this. And so maybe we can talk about literally everything else.
Sure.
Except this one specific topic. Yeah. And respecting that as well. Because I think friendships also rely on that. There are certain things that, Kate and I don't talk about. And like I said, we've been friends for 25 years or 24 years. And there are certain things we just won't talk about because she knows it triggers me or I know it triggers her. So, well, I wanted to thank you because I thought that you would be an interesting person to talk to about this because we do have different ideas and we did grow up very differently in the sense of high schools and things like that. Like there were people I considered friends in high school that maybe weren't that close, but because you see them every single day, they were like, oh no, these are my friends. And then literally after we graduated, we haven't spoken since. But I spent 4 years with them.
Sure.
And then it's like, and I'm like, well, all right, see ya. But none of us went to the same colleges. We all, like, I didn't go to the community college. So there was only 3 other people, I think, that ended up going from my class to DePaul. So it wasn't even that they didn't want to. It's just there was a ton of other colleges they all applied to.
Sure.
So I think those relationships kind of strained and didn't really get there. But I think that it's always interesting for me to see and kind of cool for me to see when we all get together with your friends and they talk about things in high school because I'm like, oh, it's nice to see people. I mean, my friends that I'm really close to are people I've known that I went to 7th and 8th grade with. Yeah. Those are my close-knit friends.
See, most of them grew up together since, 4th, 5th,
Right.
6th, 7th. I was the one that came in high school, so it's like that's why we all concentrate around then. It's because that's when I came into the picture. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in an apartment with my 3 brothers in the same bedroom. So to me, it's like, family and friends. That's it. That's all I've ever known. It's family and friends. That's all I'll ever have. Like that is my truth.
And like I love my sister, but she didn't grow up in the same house as me. So like I only had my friends, and most of the friends that I have are friends, either neighborhood friends that I didn't go to school with, because Katie and I didn't go to school together until high school, and me and Justina either. Megan and I never went to school together, and Noonie and I never went to school together. So all of those friends from there, we all went to co-op, which was preschool together, except for Katie. But like we all went to preschool together. And then all split to different schools. But we all grew up in the same neighborhood. So it's interesting because we didn't go to school together, but we literally knew everything that was going on in each other's lives.
Sure.
Because we were there. And then Carly and Katz are probably my 2 closest friends from grammar school that I see as often as I can. And we talk to, we have like our group chats or whatever. But that's really it. And I'm like, well, people I knew from high school, I'm like, oh, well, Katie doesn't really count because we grew up together. But it's interesting, and I thought you would be kind of a cool person to listen to because you and I are very different kinds of people just in general. So I always think that's kind of fun to see how different we really are as humans.
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
So thank you for tuning in, everyone, to Typing When Tipsy. I so appreciate every time you guys check us out and see what's going on, especially in the network. We have our show my show Typing When Tipsy, our show, which is Murder, Mysteries, and More, where we have co-host Alex on, and we talk about everything true crime that you can think of, from kidnappings to cold cases. So that's always, missing persons and everything in between. We also have Mike's new show, Sports from the Couch, which is as accurate as it can be from on my couch. And The Good Brothers, where Mike and Alex talk about everything movie related to death. Kicking the gold horse when it's down. So please check us out, everybody. We are on SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, and iTunes.
SoundCloud, all that fun jazz. All that fun stuff.
Hey, I remembered every platform. That's pretty good.
That's pretty decent. Just Google us.
Yeah.
You'll find us. We're everywhere.
Anyways, and you can check out Instagram, Murder, Mysteries, and More, and Typing When Tipsy. And I guess you can check out Mercado 2333.
I'm at Mercado 2333 on Twitter and Instagram, Mike Mercado 2333.
Thank you, everyone. Check us out next week. We have some really cool stuff happening, and we are also, I'm going to tell you guys here first, we're going to have a little contest coming up with some prizes.
Ooh, that's fun. I haven't heard about this since I'm the one that has to pay for all the shipping and stuff.
I haven't told him. So congratulations. You heard about it first.
Fun stuff. All right. Well, Halloween season. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next week.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. You can see all of Nicole's work at typingwhentipsy.wordpress.com. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing,
How
buddy?
you, sir? I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.